Welcome aboard.
Oh, geez. What
Oh,
was
wow.
that?
Wild turkey call.
Okay.
That's turkey for. Let's play some games.
Well, welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to the Tabletop Express. My name is Chris.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
I'm Tom Turkey.
What up? What up, Tom Turkey?
Oh man. This is the Tabletop Express, and this is our live call-in show, Call Aboard, where we talk about a topic and we invite you to be part of the conversation. Call in, say hi, talk about that with us. It's the end of the month, guys. That means it's what's on your table. We're talking about the games we played in November, the games that caught our eye in November, and can't wait to hear what people have to say in the chat. Always great to see it. And by the way, the turkey game is on point tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So there we are.
Mm-hmm.
Call-board.com you can use to call in. We do certainly recommend, if it's going to be your first time calling, we definitely would love to get you in the Discord. We always love to verify and do all that business. And then after that, kind of makes it easy. But call-board.com, you can go and enter our backstage queue.
What are you calling in about?
Calling in tonight about the games you played in November, the games on your mind here in November. Good experiences, bad experiences, whatever, right?
Okay.
Whatever might be on your mind.
I got a lot on my mind.
Got a lot on your mind. You had a busy month though, so
Without board gaming.
Yeah, you didn't get without the board gaming. You had a busy month, so
And I'm still continuing it. Still continuing the busyness, but I'm looking forward to next week when I'll be doing nothing but playing board games Thursday through Sunday in Philadelphia for PAX
yes.
Unplugged 2024. I am pumped beyond belief. So literally all my board gaming is going to be taking place starting tomorrow at Thanksgiving, then Black Friday for another Thanksgiving board game marathon, and then we go on to PAX Unplugged.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
So
it'll be a good time. And with that note, if people do see us at PAX Unplugged, please say hi, say hello.
Yeah.
If you're part of the community already, you know we have a fun time on Saturday night. We have our community gathering and hang out and play games in our hotel lobby, which is a great lobby to hang out in. Mind you, the night before in our hotel lobby is the whiskey party. So it's a great place to be either night.
Bring your whiskey. Bring your whiskey.
BYOW.
BYOW.
Well, let's talk about some games. What do you think? Sound good to me?
Kick it off, champ.
All right. Well, I want to talk about a game that I had a chance to play, and it's so perfect that you talked about PAX Unplugged, because this was on my list to play at PAX Unplugged, but I had a chance to play it before.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Yeah. And that is Galactic Cruise. So what's really cool is I had a chance to play this with someone who's going to be doing the demoing at PAX Unplugged. And so it was neat because they know it was probably in a lot of ways a good test run for them, right? To kind of go through what they have with the script and whatnot. But Galactic Cruise is one that was on my list. And let me tell you, it's heavy. I mean, it's just short of a 4. And yes, when you play this, you could tell it's a heavy game. But here's a few things I want to just kind of get out of the way about it. The iconography is pretty good. So I was able to pick up on that relatively quick. The overall worker placement was interesting in this game because you have these abilities on your board that when your workers come back and you place them on your board, you get to take one of those actions. And I found it really cool because you could at any time bump someone and send them back to that player board. So if you look at that player board as an example, you start with 2 workers, and then those other workers that are on like the bottom left and all the way to the right, you have to activate those workers. You don't get them right at the start. In this game, you're also going to be able to, when your worker gets bumped, when you take a turn and you're retrieving your workers, be able to activate spaces next to one of your cogs So you're going to have a colored cog on the board, and you're going to get more of these out, and you're going to be able to activate spaces next to them with one action. So even on a retrieval action, you're still getting value. A lot of games, I feel like when you do a retrieval action, you don't always get that. The other thing in this game that I have to point out is you're building up those cruise ships, and you're going to want to get the right passengers on. You're going to want to advertise, and then when you're on and out in space, there's days when you're not on a planet, and if you have the right workers, are going to get better. You're going to get better points because they're going to be happy to be on the ship because you picked the right people. So it's
it's like the day at sea, but it's a day in space.
Yeah, really, that's exactly what it is, man. But I'll say this: it was heavy.
Is that word again? Heavy.
But at PAX Unplugged, you're not going to get a full game in because they couldn't pull it off. But you're going to be able to get a demo and try it, and you're going to get a good taste if you're going to like this game. And Mr. Coaster brings something up. Very interested in Galactic Cruise. Not sure if I need it or it'd be nice to play at a con kind of game. Here's what I would say. I think the demos are only like an hour, and I think it's worth checking out if you're like this theme, if you like the overall mechanics I've kind of described. Again, we didn't go in depth. There's cards you're going to get. The cards on that left-hand side, by the way, incredibly powerful. Like incredibly powerful, but they have a resource at the end on the bottom right, or bottom left. So you could also use them as one of your resources, because resources and money will be very important to you in this game. Very tight economy. Overall, look, I got to tell you, really glad I played this game and in a full experience, just because it's a heck of a game. I really liked it. I would like to play it again. I will probably be willing to, even go do a demo since they're only an hour, but check it out if you have a chance. I imagine the table is going to be pretty busy for these, quite frankly. But if you have a chance, check this out. Really great game. I really enjoyed it.
It looks cool. But I don't know. It has a lot of nice looks, and there's these words, heavy, I don't know, man.
But just because, again, it's heavy in decision making, I don't think it's difficult to pick up the how. Do you know what I mean? There's just a lot of different decisions to make, and there are a series of actions you're going to want to take. You're going to be able to take those actions on your turn. I don't feel like you get completely blocked out of getting to where you want to go, but there's enough interaction that you might get slowed down at times. So it was enjoyable for me in that way. But look, if you get a chance to try out the demo, I'd say check out the demo, and you'll know within that first 30 to 40 minutes if the game's for you or not.
This was on both yours.
How much of the game did you play, Chris?
Yeah,
we played a full game.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Oh, I got destroyed, but by the third round, I knew what I was doing and knew everything I did wrong in the first two rounds, and I wished I knew that the first two rounds. So
yeah,
take it for what it is.
This was on my list also that we did last episode for games we were looking forward to checking out, and it was by far and away the heaviest game on my list. But obviously I was intrigued, and even after listening to you describe it, so far at least, it gives me some Apiary vibes, which is a game that I was frankly a little surprised at how much I liked, which is another reason why I think I do want to at least give this a couple rounds of go. Maybe not. I may even like spectate for a minute just to see, instead of committing to the full demo. But I'm definitely intrigued.
Actually, that's a great point. I think even if you go spectate this, you're going to get a sense if it's for you or not. So I will say this. We did a review of Harrow County recently, and I described Harrow County. And again, we don't always get to play repeat games for what it's worth, right? We don't always get to like repeatedly play a game 4 or 5 times, 6 times over, because we're jumping into trying new games and we're talking about them here. But when I talk about games, we talked about Harrow County. We talked about, I don't know if I want to continuously play this. This is a game I could see a game group continuously going back to. That's the kind of one of the takeaways that I had from it. So very interesting for me.
All right. Cool.
Hugh Laurie is the captain of Galactic Cruise. He has the same tone of Space Force. By the way, Anthony, the turkeys remind me of jazz hands.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
There we go. But yeah, that was Galactic Cruise. I do want to thank. It was nice. I did get to play that at the local board game cafe, which was nice.
Player agency.
Yeah, played at the player agency. One of the owners was playing with us, so it was a fun time.
Nice.
And we had a great time. It was long. We had a teach that was probably 45 minutes for this one because we had a really very full in-depth teach, and we probably played for, I think I probably was there between teach and gameplay till like from 10 to 2:15 in the afternoon. So 10 in the morning to 2:15 in the afternoon. So it was long, but I don't think it would be that long in a second play because once we got to the third round, it rolled. Like it was moving.
Okay, cool. Just so everyone knows, by the way, the phone lines are open. So if you want to call in, just go to call-board.com. Remember the hyphen, and you can call in and tell us about a game that stood out to you this month.
Yeah. By the way, I want to say thank you, Marcel. I had a this is the first. I wanted to see what the quality of these were. I will tell people we are planning a shop, so you're going to probably see that in the next week or two. But I don't want to put garbage up there, so I want to make sure it was decent, and I was pretty happy with it. So I'm glad you like it.
Looks good.
Yep, nice non-garbage hat.
That's right.
Non-garbage.
Now those are quality glasses.
Yeah, are they? You can tell.
Yeah. They
Those
come
jazz
down your
hands are
nose.
quite heavy, which is why they're falling off my face every 3 seconds.
Just look up, you know.
Yeah.
Like a turkey. Do turkeys look up? I don't know.
Dogs can't look up. I know that.
There's a question. Is that Machi Koro in the background, not in English?
We got 3 backgrounds.
Not
Oh,
me.
this game. The actual game. Yes. Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. I grabbed this image, by the way, I grabbed from this website called unsplash.com, which is a great site for getting free to use images. So little secrets, you know, like just go there and type in board games and then grab something. So anyways, I will talk about a game that I played this month, and I didn't list it on my gameplays because I didn't really finish it because it kind of just went all over the place because I was playing my kids. And this is oh my gosh, why is it not coming up? Here it is. This is a classic called Animal Upon Animal. So I'll bring that up. Animal Upon Animal is a stacking game. As many of you know, or if you don't know, I thoroughly enjoy dexterity games. And Animal Upon Animal is a solid choice where you are going to be taking these different animals from your collection and stacking them on top of a crocodile or next to a crocodile. And the goal is to get rid of all the animals in your collection. If you ever knock down the animals while placing, you collect all the knocked over animals, and the first player to lose all their animals wins. And that's Animal Upon Animal. I played it with my 2-year-old, and played it with my 6-year-old, and she was more excited about knocking them over, which is cool. So, yeah, it wasn't really a game. Oh, yeah, and this is the one you mentioned when I saw the Cats on Cats Kickstarter. Yeah, I mean, this one's just the classic. This is from Haba, and they have different kinds, and there's different versions, too. So I know there's like a unicorn one
or whatever, I think.
Yeah, there's a unicorn.
Like jumbo ones and like mini ones and different sets of animals.
There's a dinosaur one. What is this? Crest Climbers Christmas edition. Whole lots. Saw unicorns there, yep. So, you know, if this is something that you ever want to try, it's a great kids game. So yeah, give it a shot. And look how cute they look.
This is a great kids game, but it's one of those ones that I always have a great time playing with my kids. Like we just have a good time. And even my son, who's 11 years old, has a fun time playing this with my daughter. So yeah. I feel like, yes, it's designed for the kids, but everyone's gonna have a good time with this one. And I like that there's a bunch of these different ones because the shapes are also different. So like if you're looking at the unicorn one versus the alligator one, it all it almost, it's yes, it's the same concept, but
I like
it's
to make
gonna
sure
play
the
a little-
faces are facing me too, because there's only faces on one side of each animal.
Yeah, that should be a rule.
So
Ooh.
like this monkey over here and this toucan. And Rachel, I saw, brought up that she loves the game but owns the memory one. I don't know the memory one. But
I don't think I know
I don't
that
know
one
that
either.
one either.
To your
I
point,
know.
Chris, you could easily, if you brought this game to a bar
Oh yeah.
and not in the hobby box, like you had it in like a drawstring bag or something, right? And you just dumped it out on the table and be like, let's play a game to a bunch of like drunk people, they would have a blast.
Yeah.
They would have a blast. And then afterwards you'd be like, hey, this is for like 2-year-olds. They'd be like, no way.
I mean, of course. They're not gonna say no way. They're probably gonna look at it as like, what is this for 2-year-olds?
And let me point out though, this is a game where you're supposed to roll a dice based on what you're doing. And I've
Yes.
also just played it where sometimes we just stack one at a time and we take our you could play this. I play this however I choose to freaking play it. And it doesn't matter if we play it by the official rules or just
I mean, the die is whatever, right? It just tells you either 1 pip or 2 pip to place 1 or 2, or you have to I think use your less dominant hand is one of them, or another person gets to say what it is.
yeah.
So
Yeah. With or without die, it doesn't matter to me. Like I said, you're right, MP. It could be a bar game. I never thought about that way, but I guess it could be a bar game.
And the great thing about these younger hobby games, to your point, what you just said too, is that even in the rule book itself, there's often like 3 or 4 different ways to play the game that start off with a very open-ended sort of just, creative kind of play and move up gradually with introducing some very minor rules.
Yep.
So yeah, it's got a lot of play to it for sure.
Well, we've got some callers in the wing, and we're going to go in the order they arrived. So first up is someone I will just say I cannot wait to see in under 2 weeks, technically.
next week.
And so let's bring in Arwen. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Arwen. Howdy.
I just first off have to say, Anthony, those glasses, 10 out of 10. No notes.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Thank
Perfect.
you. You know what? I saved them from being thrown in the garbage yesterday.
Who would
Oh.
do
Welcome,
that?
everybody.
Those are recyclable at least.
Yeah, they're not like
At the very least.
those lame 2024 glasses that I saved for a whole year so I can wear them when we do our top, 10 of the previous year. None of that nonsense.
Love them. Absolutely love them. Yeah, it is next week. Hi, Rachel. Next week is PAX, which is just ridiculous. Like, I will be on the road, either on the road or pulling into the hotel at this time next week. We are, not to derail everything, but we are staying in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, like
Whoa.
that area.
Oh, wow.
Like
And we are
Amish country?
going, yeah, because we wanted to get some miles under our belt. We also wanted to go to Shady Maple Smorgasbord, which is apparently like the largest buffet in the United States or something.
Okay.
And we were like, yeah, that sounds like an adventure. Either, as long as we survive, we're going to have a great story to tell. So,
By the way,
I wonder if I've been there. I know we went to like some Amish. When I went to Amish country as a kid, we went to like some. It was like some buffet thing that your family got to sit with other families, and my family does
Okay.
not like mingling with other families, and they did not have a good time.
we have Mr.
I remember
Costa saying that
this.
place is legendary, and then Dr. J, who would know, Dr. J in as far.
I don't know if it was that
indeed
place.
the largest.
okay.
So,
Okay.
Dr. J, by the way, congratulations while you're here. 100 episodes of the podcast.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is huge. Congrats on that.
Yeah. It's a weird thing to be in this spot and to continue to be able to do this is fantastic, and looking forward to maybe hitting 200 in another 4 years. We'll see. But yeah, it was a really good interview. For those who haven't listened, I would encourage you to listen to it. Amabel Holland is such a fascinating woman. to talk to. She's just amazing, and I think it's really one of my better interviews. So
Awesome.
Well, I'll encourage everyone to check it out. And if someone in the chat wants to drop a link to it in the comments, so other people who may not subscribe see it, feel free to do so. But Arwen, what stood out this month for you as we get ready to go into PAX Unplugged? What stood out here in November? Because we're gonna have plenty to talk about in December.
So I had a lot of repeats for November. I had a lot of games I played, multiple times from the past. So I got things like Inside Job out. I got things like Obsession to the table, The Crew, things like that. But one game that was new that I did want to talk about was Fromage. And this is one that a lot of people are talking about. Considering my proclivity for cheese, I had to get this. And it is a worker place. Oh,
Got it right here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Have you played?
Nope.
Okay.
Next week.
Should I bring it with me, or should I just hook up with you for a game?
I could bring mine.
Okay.
I should be able to. I know we're selling a couple games, but I think we should have room for Fromage. There's always room for Fromage.
There's always room for Fromage.
We'll make room.
We'll coordinate on that, because I really do. I want to play this one down in Philly. I had a great time with this. I think it has a great solo mode, first and foremost. And really, it is a worker placement game at heart. And what I love about it is it's like a giant turntable. So once around, you're going to turn the board a quarter of the way around. And any pieces that you've placed in previous rounds, any of your workers that you use to either get resources or to place these cheese tokens on the board, like you see in the outer perimeter there, any of the workers that you use, you actually get those back when they're facing you.
Yeah.
The more expensive actions take longer to get your worker back. But they do have a bigger benefit to them. So I really thought that the puzzle behind this was really cool in trying to optimize your workers. You also have different types of workers that allow you to place different types of cheese. So you have to strategize with that aspect as well. And then you also have your personal player board, which you see, in the foreground. And if you get a certain amount of these building tokens, which is a resource that you can gather, you get a special ability. So that's either a point scoring ability at the end of the game, or just an ability that you can use, throughout the game that gives you a little extra perk. So there's a lot that really hit about this. I'm interested in the longevity of it to see, with the same 4 regions, how long that's going to last.
Yeah.
But I think that there's enough between the order cards that come up, the different tokens that you can place on your player board, that'll at least be fresh for, quite a few games. So
Yeah, I was wondering about that too when I was going over the rules, and it seemed like it kind of could go down the route of this is just the same old thing every play.
Yeah.
And I remember when I opened the Kickstarter box, like the first thing you get is a postcard that talks about the sequel that's coming out on Kickstarter for Maggio.
Yep.
So
you just got this game.
I know. We just got
game.
The first one. Give me some.
Here's the sequel.
Yeah, exactly. A little much.
It's like going into a movie and only getting half of it, and then it's like, oh yeah.
You mean the last Spider-Man cartoon?
Wicked part
Spider-Man
1, right?
Cartoon, Wicked, Dune, whatever.
Dune,
pick your flavor. But yeah, it's I did enjoy my plays of it so far. It's got a very streamlined solo mode that I think is very easy to run, which I really like. But I'm very interested to play it with other players and see what they think as well.
Well,
Danielle,
you also want
I
to play
know-
with 4 people too, right? Because 4 people seems like the best. Because the thing is, every quarter of that board is facing one player. So whatever quarter is facing you is what that player is doing, and everyone does it simultaneously. So I feel like you got to do 4. You know.
So there is a little bit of a system that you have inserts that actually block out part of the board. 4 is probably going to be the best, but those inserts go in and they actually block out little spaces. Like you'll see there's a little bit of a recess.
Oh yeah, you see it in this one, right?
Yeah, you can see those little X's there. So there's an insert that basically goes into that wedge that blocks those off instead. So I think that's a really clever way of doing it and handling that problem of, kind of shrinking the board without having to do a lot of work. I think that they did a really good job with that. But I do think that would be really good with 4 and a lot of pieces going into the board and a lot of people kind of vying for, the same area.
All right.
I will point out Danielle dropped a soul coverage of. I don't know if she dropped a video, but I know she played it solo because she posted.
She did
about that.
Yeah,
so.
It was an unboxing and a solo playthrough, I believe.
Yeah, so something that people can check out over on Danica on YouTube. So something for everyone to see if they want to see the solo mode. But this one's got my attention, so I definitely want to play this. I know we haven't had a chance to play it since it arrived at your house, but I definitely am intrigued by it. And it looks beautiful.
We almost did today.
Yeah.
But so it sounds like the plan is this: PAX Unplugged, we bring fromage, we get some cheese, we get some wine, and we do it right. Right?
Why not?
Why not?
I mean, you can get all of that stuff like directly across the street from where we're going to be. So it's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
God,
And
I
some
love
quality stuff too.
Oh, legacy version with real cheese.
Only if you're going to play it, it depends on how you store the cheese. Like you'd have to store your game in the refrigerator maybe to keep it from going bad, or certain cheeses could actually get better with age, I guess.
That'd be cool.
Oh man.
I could see it.
Oh. By the way, just so you know, we didn't share this before, but Mr. Koster also saying that he hopes to see you. I know they're in less days this year, so we'll definitely try to make sure everyone gets to see each other. But
let's try to coordinate for sure.
Mr. Koster also saying I'd eat my resources.
It's a problem I always have.
Oh my god. All right. Well, thank you so much, Arwen. We can't wait to see you spend some time together. And as always, have a fantastic end of the year in Philadelphia with you and everyone else. So
sounds great. See you guys next week.
Yeah. Safe travels.
Arwen. All right. So you want to go in second caller?
Yeah. We've got the man with the mustache ready to come in. And we're going to bring him in right now. That's none other than Mustache Marcel.
Hopefully the audio works this time.
Yeah, we hear you.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you're sounding
good. Hey, look at that. All right. Yeah. So first game going in is Kites. My sister and I played it. Fun little quick game with timers, and you got to be quick and putting cards down.
I still need to play Kites. We did Skyrockets, and I almost had a heart attack.
Yeah, I think Kites is definitely more your speed.
Yeah, because Skyrockets built based off of the foundation of Kites. Is that kind of where Skyrockets?
Well, your sand timers can't run out of time, right?
I would imagine.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is it has that, but is it cooperative or competitive?
Cooperative.
It's cooperative.
So yeah, you got to get through the entire deck. You each have a hand of like 5, so you got to be quick at picking them. And some of the timers go quicker, some go slower. So you got to try and sort real quick. So if I remember correctly, like the red goes fastest, and like the blue is the slowest. So you always want to have that red available to go. Some of the cards have multiple colors, so you got to flip both of them.
Yeah,
so
it sounds like Skyrockets though too. That's the same. Dang. Well, Skyrockets was like leveled, right? There's like different.
Well, Skyrockets
missions.
had that the crew like experience where you had like the challenges almost got harder and harder. Anthony, you've played both, right?
I played both. Again, they are very, very similar in how they play. But I would say that Skyrockets, for whatever reason, I don't really know why, but it's more hectic, I feel like. So I don't know if Kites was a little, I don't know if the timers are longer in Kites or if maybe the objectives were a little less, kind of like out there to achieve. But I definitely remember feeling more stress playing Skyrockets than Kites.
Yeah.
I feel it
I
right
wanted to
now.
try the Skyrocket game.
Oh yeah.
You could.
So.
I think, is that still on our shelf?
That
Yeah,
might
it
be-
is.
That's on the patron shelf.
It's
I
on
think,
the patron
actually.
shelf if you're a patron.
So you could, Marcel, because you are a patron. I mean, I'll say it right now. You're a patron. That could be yours as one of the patron rewards.
Okay, we'll see.
Not to
We'll
put
wait
you
for
on
that
the
list.
spot, I'm just telling you.
Yeah, so I mean that was just a really quick, fun little game. It's perfect end of night game, especially if you've done some heavier stuff in the day. So
Yeah.
And then the other game I wanted to mention, going back to spinning boards, is Last Light.
Yeah. We still have not played this.
That's the Roy Cannaday 4X in 45 minutes.
Yep.
Did it
So
really
again,
take 45 minutes to 60 minutes is what my first question is.
I think it took us like 75 minutes, but that's because we learned the first couple of rounds and we had to do a couple take back on our hands because we played the wrong thing or something like that.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, now that we've actually done it and we understand what the cards are, this thing could easily be played in like 45 minutes, an hour max.
Okay.
So basically what it is you start off with a hand and you got cards 1 through 6 and they each have a different thing that you can do. And you're playing your cards simultaneously. So you pick a card secretly. And then when it's time, everyone puts it down and then they go through and do their actions. If there's a conflict, the cards have a number on them, so that determines which action goes first. So like if you do command where you can attack, people are allowed to do a couple of things before you. So
okay.
And then every time everyone has their refresh card down on the table, that's when you take and spin all the planets. Everything moves around, and now what was far is close.
Huh.
Yeah, the game is basically a Lazy Susan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, it's interesting. She added here, it felt like a short 75 minutes. I was surprised how fast it played, which does align with when Roy was on talking about it, what Roy was going for with this game, which was very often these games are 2+ hour games. He was going for a shorter version of one of those games. So it sounds like it delivered for you in that respect.
Oh yeah, this will be one that I'm going to bring to the Granite Game Summit. And I definitely plan on trying to play this at a large account because I did get the expansion to go up to 8 players.
Oh my goodness.
Nice.
So I want to see chaos.
Yeah.
I like chaos.
Now, did this have that 4X experience though? Like a Twilight Imperium kind of deal, or?
So I haven't really played that. I mean, you're going around. All the planets have a hidden thing, so when you get to them, you get to explore what it is. You're trying to expand your colony, so you're constantly building ships and sending them out to get to different areas. You want to control the mining things, so that way when you do your refresh, you get light back. First one to get 20 light wins the game. You're attacking the other players, so you can destroy their extractors or their ships. So yeah, it has all 4 X's in there.
Okay.
There we go.
But super quick, super easy.
But I'll try it.
Oh, I think you'd like this one. It's no Firefly.
All right, good. Thank you.
In all fairness, the game of Firefly that we played was like the worst combination of all for a new player.
Here we go. Right. I got it.
No, I'm not saying you would have liked it. I still don't think you would have liked Firefly. I'm just saying.
No, Ryan, I think Ryan will like this game.
There you go.
So.
Plus, it's got these
it's
planets.
Like I told you, Barrows.
It's cool.
We played Food Chain Magnate wrong. You did the.
You told me up front, Food Chain Magnate was a game that if I didn't made the first move
Yeah.
wrong, I lost.
I know.
So I know the moment I make one bad move, I lose Food Chain Magnite. That's enough for
True.
me to know. But I still like
Hey, go
Food
play a game of Happy Little Dinosaurs.
Oh, God,
my
no.
goodness.
Dinosaurs is what that is. That dumb game. Oh, sorry.
But
All
he
right.
ho you.
Have a good one, guys.
All right. Later, Marcel.
Marcel knows how much I hate that game. I don't say hate very often with games either. But yeah. Yeah, some good games. Anthony, we've talked about games, but you haven't got a chance to mention any of the games that you played this month.
Let me consult my trusty
Oh my gosh.
game log here.
Is it
I was
dusty?
fortunate
Is there a
enough.
reason you need to blow dust off of it?
Well, I was just kind of ragging on myself because I don't track my plays digitally like
Look at this
y'all
guy.
do. But someday this journal is going to run out, and I probably will be forced to do that. Anyway, I was lucky enough to be able to take a trip down towards Pennsylvania to visit my best friend Eric, along with his older brother, who lives not too far from me either. And we had a pretty good game session down there at his house. We got 6 plays in. As my turkey. All right, that's it.
Turkey glass.
Turkey's taking a break. Now, of the games that we played, only one of them was new to me. So that's the one that I am going to talk about because the other ones I've talked about plenty of times on the show. But this one I was very impressed. This little card game. I liked it so much that I was actually talking to Chris about it earlier today when he and I were finalizing our holiday gift guide for another project that we're working on. And this game is called Illusion. So this is a really just stack of cards that each one has this abstract sort of art on it, made of primarily the 4 colors of red, blue, green, and yellow. And it sort of plays similar to like a timeline or card line where you're trying to put, when it's your turn, insert a card into this row of cards in a particular order. The way that this game works is you'll flip over one of these arrow cards, which is going to show you one of the 4 colors. So say it was blue. So you're looking at blue, right? So then the stack of the abstract art cards, you turn over that first one, you put it down, and on the first person's turn, they look at the next card that's coming out. They're face up, by the way, so you know what's coming. And you are going to decide if that card has, in this example, more blue in it or less blue in it. And that's how the turns are going to go. Unless on your turn, you decide that instead of adding a new card to the list, you are going to challenge the current row. And this is where the kind of exciting part comes in, because it is very much this stand up and reveal thing, because on the back of each of those cards is a percentage of how much of each color is in that piece of art. So you check, if you challenge, you check by flipping these over. Okay, the first card has, 12% blue in it. Next one is 23. Yeah. Next one was, oh no, it's only 18. That was wrong. So if you challenge and you are correct in your challenge because the row was wrong, you get the point, which is the arrow card, essentially. If you challenge and you're wrong in challenging, meaning the row was correct, the last player to play a card in that row gets that point. 3 points wins the game, and that's it. This stuck out because I feel like I was about to say it's accessible for a wide variety of people. And then obviously the colorblind thing entered my head because that's what this game is entirely about, is judging the colors. My point is, though, that I feel like you could play this with many different age levels and many different, gamer experience levels for how simple it really is.
Yeah, this one was interesting when you described it to me. And I had looked it up later on, and I don't think I would have the color issues on this one. that said, I was fascinated by the actual gameplay concept of it. The fact that like what our eyes see is maybe we think we're close on the percentage, but we're completely off. Like, so I can imagine this can create great moments, because a lot of times everyone knows I talk about the experience of playing the games, right? And for me, that's all about moments. And so I think that would be pretty fun to see in real time.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it's it almost like it sounds like an easy enough concept, but the way that the art is on a lot of the cards, it's just kind of like you
But
can't tell
Jungle
anything.
Striker, what is it? Whatever. What is it? Jungle Strike, the one that we've played before, Ryan?
That was Jungle Speed.
Jungle Speed, not Jungle Strike. Like Jungle Speed has that same vibe of, but that's quick. Obviously, you have to make that decision, but it's still challenging. Just looking for patterns or certain colors or things like that, and saying in more of a snap moment, okay, I think this is it. Yeah,
Which Marcel's going to be owning very soon.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, I've been seeing Illusion. It's on Game Nerds for $5. That's
really?
I'm seeing it. Yeah.
Okay. I may have to pick that up.
If you got a customer hold waiting to push over the $5,
yeah,
that threshold.
I had heard of this game before, and then just kind of like fell off the radar. I was actually surprised that that Eric had this game, because he's just not usually a fan of like games that are just kind of a deck of cards with
Does he buy games from Game Nerds?
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe that's why. Maybe he needed to hit the $75 limit.
Maybe anything is possible.
Cool.
All
yeah,
right.
I feel like this would work good for like a Thanksgiving gathering as well, for the group of people around. Doesn't take up a lot of space.
So I'm going to mention one actually, as you note that. Oh, by the way, my non-gamer dad and 5-year-old were both into it. So
There
again,
you go.
yeah, that's
good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Earlier there was a comment I wanted to bring up. So Pablo had also mentioned I want to play Flip 7, but which retailer one was the same size as promotional edition. I'm at a limit size, but I had a chance. I did not get to play this, but I had a chance to kind of get the explanation from Dr. J himself, because I was down there celebrating his birthday, surprised him. And I want to talk about just really quickly, because we had that comment about this, that even with the basic introduction, like this game caught my attention. I think this is going to be a game for me. I think this game will be for a lot of people. And I understand the interest. Now, I love it. The box cover says like the greatest card game of all time. I'm not suggesting this is the greatest card game of all time, but I haven't played it. But it seems like it's got this great push your luck approach to it that I really enjoy. And I like push your luck. And so it's one that I want to play. And it looks like I'll get to, because my roommate at PAX Unplugged is bringing it. So there we go. But I want to play this and kind of learn more about it, but it's simple enough. And I'm going to say this, Anthony, I think you would agree, based on the games I've been talking about lately. I think I'm really digging the small card games lately, because Trio, Mojo, this game's certainly jumping out. And throw in some other ones that have a few other components like Scout and other things. Man, I'm down with the card games lately. So excited for more. And I hope we keep getting new innovative games in this area, and even these simple games that just slightly tweak a rule to make it really fun and easy to get to the table. So excited to try this one. So I'm glad this one got mentioned.
Cool.
There you go. Flip 7 is awesome, but not the greatest of all time. There we go.
I know before we started, we didn't mention yet though, but we are reviewing games tonight.
Yes.
What games are we reviewing tonight?
We are going to be reviewing, let's see, the second edition of, Trekking the World.
Trekking the World.
Yeah, second edition of Trekking the World. We played, you got a chance to play it. We got some pinball to review tonight, Ryan.
Box top, pinball, haunted house, right?
And what was an insanely popular video earlier this month, we better talk about Tiny Laser Heist.
It's Tiny Laser Heist.
That's the name, right? Tiny
That's
Laser
the name
Heist.
of it.
Yeah, you got those first two we mentioned are review copies. The last one's just one that we posted this little short, and it had like 4,000, 5,000 views. So we better talk about it. you know, because that was definitely an experience to say the least. Hey, before we talk about some other things, by the way, just so people know, if you're on our Discord every time, about a week before Call Aboard, I do drop a Dropbox link in so people can share a video if they can't make it. And we have a video I'm going to show that shows one of the members of our Discord sharing some of the games he played this past month. You guys want to see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Anthony, do you got to get a yes? I got to need a thumbs up here. There we go. All right. We're going to do it. Here we go.
Hey, Ryan, Chris, and Anthony, and Tabletop Express team and crew, and those of you in chat. Got a couple games I want to talk about for this month of November, crazy enough as it is, but a couple games. I know one that I know I have to talk about for sure, and one that was mentioned in a PAX preview a couple weeks ago. And we'll start out with that one, and that is Skyrise. It's a kind of a bidding kind of area control in a way, depending on like end game objective type game. And the production, even in the base game, is pretty nice with it. But as I know Mr. Rao has posted in the Discord itself, the Kickstarter, the advanced, like the blinged out version of Skyrise is unbelievably nice. So the production is so nice with it, but the gameplay itself is I really enjoy it because there's a couple different strategies you can use with it as you're working through. You're trying to clear out your bids themselves and get certain points that are going to potentially win you the game, or get in certain objective areas that'll score at the end of the first phase or even at the end of the second phase as well, and set yourself up for later in the game. Whether it's getting 3 of your buildings around a blimp, or 3 around a lake, or your hidden objective where you have to have X amount of certain types of X amount of buildings on certain color locations. And there's a lot of different stuff that goes into the game itself, but it's pretty enjoyable. I think one of the favorite things that I have realized in my 2 or 3 plays of it now throughout the year is there's a, much like Nocturne has this kind of the bidding capability as well that can bring this out. But if you bid in a certain spot and win a location at the end, if you plan it out right, you can just throw your lowest number building on a spot and win it because you cornered it in, and no one else can outbid you because you get to pick where that next bid goes. So really, the Skyrise, there's the only thing that I would think would be kind of nice is, and maybe an expansion it comes out for it, is having some asymmetric abilities where if like once per game you get to do this, or once per game you get to do a certain action or score certain points. I know there's the card that comes in phase 2 that you get to use for your big tower at the end. That's kind of like the trump of everything. Nothing can beat it, but if you place it somewhere, you get X amount of points depending on what your secret objective is. So that's the only one thing I would like to see with it, is just maybe specific character abilities that may adjust it, because the boards themselves aren't anything crazy, but when you're and they flip over each side, it's just 2 different individuals that you can choose from for the game, but there's no special ability for either of them. So that'd be nice to see, but I really enjoy Skyrise. It's a lighter one. Probably with a 3-4 player game, you can finish it within an hour and a half once you understand what the objectives are and goals are. along those lines as well. So it's a nice game, nice light game, and I think that's kind of been the one theme of my November is having some light games, and one that it's kind of light. It's got a little sense of strategy with it in it as well, and I can already say it's my top game of 2024 for release is Forges of Ravenshire for my second game that I'll talk about, and we'll keep it a little quick on this one. But Forges of Ravenshire, it's a nice little dice placement, dice retrieval, and then in the second phase, you're trying to fulfill contracts and you're running engines and burning coal or trying to create iron. It's a super fun game. There's something new with it every single time, and it does have as asymmetric characters that you can play with as well that create like one of the characters I know that, or for the cards that you get, it allows you, there's certain upgrades that you can pay hammers for, which are very limited in this game and very tough to get. So you have to kind of force some certain actions to get them. But for upgrades, that character itself gives you all of the upgrades. So right up front at the beginning of the game, you get to place all those down, save yourself 6 hammers throughout the whole game, where you can use them for other abilities later on. And it's one of those that each character has its own benefits. I think there are some that maybe are a little stronger than others, but you find ways around them and find ways to use your specific abilities to the maximum as possible. And it's unique too, because after you place a dice, you get to a certain amount of resources, whether it's unique, like normal goods, or mystics that are going to be used for other items at the end of the game, or give you certain bonuses or extra capabilities to use. But once you retrieve the dice back, you get that good again for wherever you retrieve it from. And then you're placing it based off of color, which it's green, yellow, and purple, I believe. And you're placing that dice on your board, and you're running that guild. And you're trying to set up that guild to give you more resources or give you greater capabilities as you're going through. And I kind of like to compare it to like a newer Stan Cardanci game where there's a lot going on and there's a lot of different ways that you can win. There's not just one unique strategy, different areas that you can focus on within the game. And it's really one of those that the production of it is super nice as well. And again, neither of these are my games, but the token quality of them is above and beyond. So these are 2 games that of this year alone that are Skyrise probably lower in my top 10, but Forges of Ravenshire is number 1 in my top 24 already. I know, I'm sure that'll be another video come next year, but it's up there, and I think it's solidified its spot with my love for it and the enjoyment of my 4 plays I've had of it. So Forges of Ravenshire and Skyrise, definitely the 2 highlights of my November plays. So thank you all for the time, and I hope you have a great rest of your show.
Look at that guy.
Thanks.
You're on mute, Theros. You're on mute.
I'm not muted anymore.
Oh, mate.
Sometimes people wish I was. I did want to note, by the way, this is a real-time update. As we were about to go into that, I got the ping that we just hit 700 subscribers. So whoever there, we say thank you, right? So
breaking news.
We've had some really great growth lately, especially in this past month. It's been a really busy month here, and I do want to thank everybody for the support, whether it's comments, subscribing, whatever it might be. We appreciate it, especially going into PAX Unplugged. December is always a big month for us, and I'm just going to say right now, I'm pumped, and I want to hype it up right now. When we get back from PAX Unplugged, we are going to have our big PAX Unplugged recap. And this is always just a fun and usually long episode. So I'm just going to put it out there now. So we hope you'll you'll all be part of that. Next week, before we go into our reviews, I also want to mention Mr. Rao's going to be taking over the Express for a week and coming in with some great recommendations of games around some great holiday categories to help you all make some decisions if you're thinking about some games. And cool thing about that is tomorrow I'm going to drop, and I know it's Turkey Day for some of you, but drop a survey in and you can be part of a show as he's going to actually be looking for what our community's choices for these categories are. So be on the lookout and make sure you fill out that survey. Guys, review time.
Yeah, we talked about growth and large changes, but what about the tiny ones? What about the tiny ones, right? I'm going to bring up Tiny Laser Heist. Because I'm going to bring up Tiny Laser Heist.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let me pull up Tiny Laser Heist. This is a board game that I use my own money for, not a review copy. Is that setting the tone of this review already? This is, it doesn't have the designers on here. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, the publisher, look at that, is Evan and Josh's Very Special Games Company. All right, let's talk about Tiny Laser Heist. So in this game, you're going to be semi-cooperatively working on a tiny laser heist where we'll be using these little squishy looking hands. They're actually pretty sturdy. They're sturdy kind of spongy things. And you're going to be lifting up locks, padlocks, all through this laser. The mastermind is going to be wearing an obnoxious mask. So that's why I thought Anthony would like this a lot, because you'd be wearing this mask and you're going to be taking the locks and bringing them up and moving them over. And actually, I don't think this is the mask the game comes with.
No, I gave you that mask.
Right? Yeah. This is the one you gave me from your house, which is like the same mask but purple.
Yeah, it was the same exact mask. Like the stitching was exactly
the
same.
And it still hurts my eyes too, just as much as the other one. Oh yeah, pull that up.
Hold on, that center is not completely.
This is a real gameplay of it.
Okay, pick it up. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. That
Yeah. It's a lot of chaos, which I love these kinds of games, right? But let's talk about what I love about these kinds of games and what I don't love about these kinds of games. So when it comes to a game with toy factor, the factor is the toy, right? So when I think of games with excellent toys, I think of Loop and Louie. I think of Piazza Rabazza. I think about Animal Upon Animal, So when we have this game of like these bungee cord looking lasers that you don't want to trigger, but how they're set up is that you can really just like leverage and like go up against them. They're really not, you don't really shoot them off. They're kind of more like in the way. The big goal is like lifting up the locks. It's a semi-cooperative game where you're kind of doing the same thing over and over again. And there's not a lot of new things happening. And it goes a little too long for its welcome. So the thing about this game is I really wanted to love this game. And I think the table presence is there. I think about another game that's similar to, for me, which is Tokyo Highway, which Tokyo Highway looks beautiful on the table. Gameplay-wise, I don't think it's there. And this, I feel like, is the same way. Because there was a lot of clunkiness in the rules. There was a lot of clunkiness with, like, a lot of vague questions. I even asked a question on Board Game Geek. I still haven't gotten a response yet. Just like a rules question. So, it just feels like this is a very half-baked kind of thing, which is unfortunate because I was ready to be, toying around with this and playing a lot with it.
Can I point out? Can I point out something that stood out to me? Because one of the concepts of this was you're going to obviously make a decision on who's going in. There's cards that you could play to steal some of the money if it was successful, even if you weren't part of it. There's all these different.
There's a lot of take that stuff.
There's a lot of take that in there. But what got me was after every round, like you were adding another laser.
Yeah.
Which was the rope. And it was like, I thought at one point, I felt like the cooperative game was, let's work together to get this laser to actually stay. Like it just, the concept, sometimes there's concept versus execution, right? It was frustrating to kind of like get to, all right, okay, we gotta get this, and it was not staying. And then the lasers didn't pop off, which I guess it's good they're not flying off and hitting you in the face, but I almost like expected them to fly around, or I don't know, give us me more of a feel of, oh crap, I hit the laser. And I didn't get that.
With as hard as it was to place the new ones, I was shocked that they didn't come off easier.
Well, I noticed the ones on the setup, right, is like this, where let me see if I find a better picture of the whole thing. This is the cube, right? And the cube, there's these ridges on the top, which are not, there's like the prototype one. There's not the one that we have. But there's ridges on top, there's ridges on the side. The ones on tops were super sturdy, and the ones on the side were super delicate, you know? And when you wanted to place lasers down, you really kind of went, like even in this picture now that I look at it, they're all on the tops and bottoms. They're not on the sides.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And there's even like, there's rules for placing lasers, like they can't be touching other lasers, and you know, it's just, it's a lot of like, why, you know?
Yeah, for a game, to your point, Ryan, for a game that is this silly, and listen, it was fun. I mean, we had a blast.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Oh, yeah.
we laughed like crazy, as you can tell from the video.
Right.
But when a game is this simple, to me, there's kind of no excuse for a sloppy rule book or not having clear rules about if you're going to design these cards that let you kind of mess with the heist after the fact, which is cool. Like I like that. But if you don't know what it's supposed to do in certain situations, I don't get why more time wouldn't have put into that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do I know? I don't design games.
Look, we had
You
a
don't need
good
to.
time playing this game. There's not a question, but
I have a good time playing bad games too, though.
yeah. But here's the thing. What we're trying to do in this kind of conversation is say, well, what do we give it? You know, would we recommend buying it? Right. And man, based on the MSRP or whatever you told me, the Kickstarter,
$50.
I couldn't recommend this.
And the expansion was another 25.
Oh, so yeah, so you paid 75 then for it.
Sure did.
Before shipping, right? So,
I can stop whenever I want to. Okay.
Yeah, this was not a win for me in the long run from an ownership perspective. I wouldn't recommend purchasing it. I had fun with it, and if you said
the saving grace I have for it, though, my kids love it.
Yeah,
my son has a blast with it. My son has a blast of playing with the pieces, like the concept of it, all that stuff. He doesn't like playing the competitive way. He always wants to work together, which I agree. Like, there's more fun working together to pull off the heist than there is like kind of screwing your neighbor and taking the money away.
It's two like very different games. Like they don't really kind of match up.
That's the problem with semi-co-op too. Semi-co-ops are very delicate things, and it's very easy, I find, to not get that balance of a true semi-co-op where you are working together, but you're still going out for your own self. This game does not deliver in that part. But for a kid's thing, he had a great time with it. Like, of course, it's a toy where you're kind of moving things up and down. But this is not a staying power, especially when there's so much better kids games out there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So that heists together stays together.
Yeah, I guess so. All
right, we got some numbers for this heist.
I do. And my number out of 10 is 5.
I agree.
I'd echo that. I would echo that. I'm going to drop a 5 as well. I like the concept. I love the core idea, but execution, So, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right, so that's one.
That's one. So we are in the middle of reviews here, and then the next one that we have up, gentlemen, is Trekking the World, the second edition.
Mm.
Now, Ryan, you didn't get to play this.
I did not, but I will pull it up and let you guys talk about it.
Oh, thank you.
And then try to sell me on it because I really despise the first one. No spoilers. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, that'll depend, I guess, on what you didn't like about the first one.
Yeah, that is true. Because, and Anthony, you talk a little about this because I'm actually going to bring up, and I had meant to do this beforehand, but there was a link that I had that had the differences between the first version and the second version that I do want to.
Yeah, I've never really seen a designer, I guess, openly respond to feedback and criticism about a game to the point where they made a new version of that game. I thought that was pretty interesting. Is it something that happens more often than we know behind the scenes during the playtesting, stages of a lot of game implementations? Maybe. But Chris, from what you showed me, this was almost like a complete overhaul, really, of the gameplay.
Yeah, they changed core mechanics of the game. So again, I didn't play the OG version, but they definitely fundamentally shifted gameplay in this, to the point that if you played the first one, you might not have, but let me get right into it. So they're on BGG. Nick Bentley had posted an actual article, and I'm just rolling through here just to make sure I have them all. So they wanted fewer rules. They wanted to streamline the game a little bit more and make decision making more fun. So some of the common criticisms were that they saw in board games was it's not replayable. If a game is replayable, it's too light, those sort of things. So when they broke it down, they wanted to fundamentally change it to an extent. Now, I'm going to say what they put out first before we get into this, but they have flat out said it's for hobbyists who like rules like games, hobbyists who want to enjoy games with non-gamers, folks getting into the hobby, looking for a gift that feels premium, folks want to turn their 10-year-old kid, 10 and up kids into strategy gamers. It's not going to be, they said, though, for folks who dislike the simple rules or strategic piece, right? So, and so it was interesting that they put that out. Now, they changed a few things in this game, but let's talk about what is in this game, Anthony, which is you are going around, you are trying to get to certain locations. You're very strategically trying to think about where you want to go, but it's fairly simplified in doing so, right? Like the gameplay of actually doing it it's not challenging to do, but you have to think out what you want to do based on the cards on the table at the time.
Yeah, it's a lot of itinerary sort of route planning, so to speak, with trying to kind of optimize each visit.
If you could, and if you could actually click up, for example, on like scroll down a little bit for me, Ryan.
You got it.
First, let's talk about this. It doesn't shock me. Click on that one with the components right there, just because I do want to speak to this, and I think they do this with all their games. The components in this game are great. Overall, they fit really well. They are the chunky cubes, but they work really well on this board. I did find it interesting that it wasn't just a piece moving down the board, and why you needed all of the cubes per se. But you're actually filling in your itinerary, and then if you get everything filled in a row, you're getting that many points. So one of the interesting decision-making points was going to try to accomplish something, but at the same time, when you could go for the points that you're getting on your player board. So you had choices of trying to get and visit the locations to get the points for visiting the locations, or you could also think about at the same time building it from your board. So I thought there was some interesting decision making, despite it being light. There was really 2 or 3 things that you're trying to do.
Yeah,
overall.
there wasn't like one thing that was dictated on your turn where it was like the obvious thing to do, if that makes any sense.
Yes. So for me, again, I'm going to say, and I agree with the assessment, and this is why I read it before. I do think if you're looking for a game that is strategic, but friendly for maybe a newer gamer or a family member, I think they did hit that. I think this is a game, if you show the full map, I think it'll give people a little bit of a better perspective, Ryan. But it is really cool to think about visiting the locations, the ability to think about how you're going to get there, being able to travel quickly from airport locations to go from one spot to another spot. So traveling around the world is going to be done from those airport locations, because you're all going to start on one of those airport locations. And then when new locations come out, you think about how am I going to get there and then accomplish what I need to get done. So ultimately, Ryan, well, I think this might be better experience than the first one for you. I still don't think this is a you game, like it's as a matter of like just being candid. I don't think it becomes a you game, but I think it is a game for a lot of people who are looking to get their kids or their family into a game. It's something friendly enough that I feel like it's going to be approachable enough for them, but has enough strategy for that hobbyist gamer. And that's, if it accomplishes that. Now, the question in reviewing it for me is that I also ask is it for me? And the answer to that question will be, I'm not going to play it all the time, but I can see busting this out with that exact group. And that's kind of how it lands for me. I think they did a good job overall. It is a huge board though, and I do want to note that, like, it takes up a ton of space on your table. So it's a table hog. That my only question, and I'm interested in what you think, Anthony, is I feel like it could be intimidating just because it's so big to people. But I don't know. It's beautiful too. So
I guess. Yeah. It could look like it's going to be more intense than it is upon first folding out the board. I do like the design of the board. I like that it's that, flat map but rounded side kind of thing that we've seen in schools and other map formats. I think it's pretty well labeled, and the components are pretty decent. It's a good time. I don't need to own it, but I enjoyed my play of it.
Yeah. And really, to summarize, you're moving around, you're collecting souvenirs, you're going to go on these encounters which have this historical history to it. So if you played Trekking Through History, which is my favorite in their series still, I gave that one in the mid 8s, like an 8 to an 8.5, and I really like it, and I own that, and I want to own that one. But taking tours, having these encounters, and then ultimately collecting souvenirs, it's simple, straightforward. I'm not itching to own it, but at the same time, it is a game that I'd be happy to see in my local library. I think it's going to be a very welcome addition to those who maybe have a library that caters to that type of family who maybe is just getting into games. But then once it gets deeper in, I think this game will go more to the back of the shelf. Overall, I think the redesign was nice. The quality of the game is good. For me, Anthony, it's a 7.5. It was quality, but it sits there in that mid 7 range as one that probably stays on my shelf and doesn't get played as much, but gets pulled out for those moments when it's the right game.
Yeah, I agree. I guess I'm slightly lower, like 7.1. I think this has a place in some, social studies classrooms, for sure. And it's one of those things that I'm happy that it exists, right?
Yeah.
And that it's out there.
I agree. And the changes, just to confirm for everybody, because I want this to be really clear. I wanted you to hear our thoughts first. Second edition is drafting and racing. The first was set collection and racing.
Yeah, I remember that.
that's one of the changes. Second edition features power cards that players get for free by going to different destinations. And third, the second edition has a solo mode. The first edition did not. So there you go. I could not imagine playing this solo personally.
Says best of 1 out of 2.
Yeah, but based on that, I still want, I'm reviewing this as a multiplayer game because that's the way I'm most likely to play it. But it does have a solo mode if you're interested. And if people are interested, I'm happy to try out the solo mode and share my thoughts on a later episode by all means. But this is a review as a multiplayer experience. We played it with 4 people. So
cool.
Yep. That is Trekking the World 2nd edition. I want to thank them, of course, for providing us with this copy, them being Underdog Games.
Cool. All right.
And last but not least, Pandasaurus provided us with a copy of a game that we've all had a chance to play. You like pinball?
I do. Sometimes. Actually, maybe not. I don't know.
Well, bring it up.
Bring it up anyway.
We played some pinball, some box top pinball, haunted house.
Box top pinball.
I was thinking the same thing.
There it is.
So it's designed by Zachary Connolly, Alex Cutler. That's it. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, let's show everybody a photo of the actual play because I want people to see this. This is a game that comes.
Look at that box top.
It looks like it's a box, but this all these boxes together, and you pack it up a certain way. It's very easy to set up and tear down.
Yeah.
Very quick in that way. Once you've done the initial setup,
Yeah.
you are gonna set up this board, and you are gonna be flicking dice. You start with 4. No matter how many players play, every player gets 4 because you can get bonus dice because it's pinball. You're going to flick to score points. You score points in a few ways. You flick the die and whatever, if it lands on the board and it doesn't fall into a hole or off the board or what may be, you're going to get that amount of points. It might land in a multiplier zone, and then you're going to get those points. But in the process, you might knock over a monster. For every monster you knock over, and I should say every unique monster.
Right, there's
now,
3 of them.
There's 3 of them. When you knock over 3 unique monsters in a round, you get 10 points. 2, you get 5 points. 1, you get 2 points. Simple, straightforward. Last but not least, of course, bonus area is in there. Oh, and those clues. So you can see that clue thing right there. There's a whole baggie of these. I feel like they don't all get used, or maybe I just didn't aim for them and I should have. But when those get bumped, you get to take one, and then you're able to look at it. And at the end of the game, you're going to flip them all over, and you're going to get points. And there's a wide range of numbers on those little clues. Like, it's insane how big the difference is. Like, I got 1 when I played the game against Ryan. I mean, he won, but my clue was like a 7-pointer, and he had a 2 and a 3. Yep. So it
feels good.
But in the board, you're gonna notice there's holes that your die might fall in. You might flick too hard and it goes off the board. It's pinball, right? It's doing what what they're aiming to do. But I wanted to say this, and I want to see what you guys think about this. I didn't find myself trying to bounce off those side pieces all that much, which would feel pinball-y, right? I was more trying to kind of, maybe get just enough to make it to the second, maybe land in the right spot. But I didn't find myself aiming for the sides to bounce off. And I didn't know, it wasn't always effective for me. So I don't know what your experience was. We all played it, but wanted to get your thoughts. That's the general gameplay, though. I'll point this out just so everyone has this. You play 3 rounds of this. And then ultimately at the end, the clues get revealed, but you're scoring for the monsters and the other stuff at the end of each round. And then everything resets and you replace. So general overview, I'll make sure there's nothing missed.
Pablo brings up really exactly how I described this game upon playing, which is it's tumbling dice with a Halloween theme to it. If you've never played tumbling dice, it is a similar, tiered kind of structure. With points at the very bottom, similar to the sport of curling, or I forget, shuffleboard, where you're trying to get it in a zone to get, kind of the most points. That being said, it was a lot of fun, but I don't think it's a pinball game. I don't
Definitely not.
think that part makes sense, to be honest with you. I get the aesthetic that they were going for. I get that the little, box that's in front is like the, looks like the front of the pinball where you put your coin in and stuff like that. But it just seems like it could have been called something else and been just as fun. And that doesn't it's not going to change my rating of the game. The fact that it's called that, it just seems like a weird choice overall. But I mean, this was, talk about toy factor, huge toy factor. My son walked in and saw this setup and he was like, "Why is that a haunted house?" I was like, "Pretty much." And I mean, to your point, Chris, I was able to, once I set it up once, the setup was like that.
Oh,
where everything goes. It's
The
not very
takedown
difficult.
is like 10 seconds.
And it was definitely fun. It's something that I would bust out every Halloween, and I feel like a lot of holiday games fall in that sort of mindset for me, where they're not going to get out to the table all year round, but because of that, I look forward to getting them out to the table that one time a year.
Yeah.
And I definitely will get this out again next year.
Yeah, I know you're big into the holiday games for sure.
Yeah.
And with this game, because Pablo did also bring up that you thought you were talking about the roll and write games, because I do agree, when you talk about board games and pinball, Super Skill Pinball, the roll and write game, there's nothing else that comes close, in my opinion, to pinball in a board game experience. That game feels exactly like pinball.
And this game could have done that. This could have been
It could have
a roll and write game.
Yeah, I mean, it could have for sure. But in pinball, you're not rolling your balls down and looking and trying to hit the opponent's balls out of the pinball machine. You know.
Yeah.
So it has
Like
more of that. Right. It's right. Exactly. It's more of a bocce kind of thing, right? So theme-wise, I don't think it's there. But I don't think it's a bad game. And if it wasn't for the haunted house theme, I probably wouldn't be as inclined to play it. I like the haunted house theme a lot about it. But it just feels like you play it and that's it. I kind of have no interest to really go back to it. I feel like I've seen everything for it. And talking about components, I mean, the MSRP on this is a $30 game. I think for $30 it's fine. Tumbling Dice is what, like $100 game or something like that?
Maybe, yeah. But I mean, it's bigger and it's like solid wood.
It's big and solid wood.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it's got that like aesthetic, Whereas this guy, like when we were playing today, Barros, the box is all warped on one of them.
I did want to note that was one of my concerns. Is it's and mind you, I played this a bunch with family. I played a bunch with my family, my kids, and again they liked it. And I want to stress that, like, the family loved it, the kids loved it. So if that stands out to you as a statement, take that for what that is, right? Because I do think it has a certain appeal there. That said, the one box at the end, and it's not like it's been stored in some bad area. The one box, though, did seem like it was starting to warp, was just stored that way. So that was my one concern that I had. Now, it did not impact gameplay in some sort of major way. It wasn't.
No, I don't think so.
So
it was noticeable.
It was noticeable, but again, I just stress that because I think the stress test on a game like this is important. Just because we had the game. I want to point out to people too, because I know we're talking about this in November, but we got this game like right before the end of October.
Yeah.
And so like we didn't get time to get it in. That's why I think we mentioned it on the October show. So I just want to stress, like, I would have loved to actually done a playthrough of this. And look, if people want to see this, these are things we can certainly try to get to when we get them in that kind of time frame. But
but going back to it, kids games, haunted house theme games, toy factor games, flicking games. There's so many options out there. This one did not stand out to me at all
Yeah.
for that. You know,
I think it has the table presence that grabbed my kids' attention, and my son, 11, wanted to play. My daughter, 6, wanted to play. So I do put that out there. And for me, like I said, I enjoyed it. It is a 7 for me. I'm not rushing to buy it. I think the price point is good. I think you could probably end up getting it cheaper than that. But it's a 7 for me just because I enjoyed it. I'm not rushing to get this out. And to Anthony's point, at the same time, if you put it on the table at that time of year, heck yeah, let's play it. And I'm no problem with that.
I mean, you're going to be done in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not good. It's not going to take long. The games take 10, 15 minutes. So
they're quick.
they're very quick. So overall, look, I liked it. I had fun with it, but it's not a game that I think gets year-round play. And again, I think you said it well. I don't know that I didn't think it had to be pinball. It could have been something else, and I would have had the same experience. But
Yeah.
still,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
liked it.
I think I'll give it a 7 because personally, I'd probably give it a 6. And I bet, I didn't ask AJ, but I bet if I asked him, he would say it was an 8. So I'm
Yep.
going to average that out to a 7.
That's kind of where I am. It's the feeling of this is for me that the experience I had with the kids playing it. Yeah, that's
Pablo,
that
I think
stands out.
Different
if
dice would
they
be cool.
if they support this game in the future, I think that would be a good thing to add as like an expansion. Because that was, I've played Tumbling Dice and I've played the Dice Towers, version of Tumbling Dice, and they have, every shape die that's in there, and it makes for a lot of fun because, you got that 1d20 that you can really get juggernaut and move some stuff out of the way. And man, if you could land it in one of those multipliers,
Or
you're
even
you're
if
in a
the
good spot.
bonus, even if there was like multiple bonus areas that gets you an additional die, but it's a unique die, and you got that, or I don't know. I like that concept a lot. But yeah, 7 for me, a lot for that same reason that you just said, Anthony. But yeah, 7.
Excellent.
5.
0.8.
Oh, point. Oh, 0.8.
5.8. 5.8.
There we go. And can I ask you, Ryan, if this didn't have pinball, right, and it was going for something different, would that impacted you at all? Or
Honestly, I gave part of the rating to because I like the aesthetic a lot of the haunted house portion. I think that was fun and really cool. So I always like that, especially in dexterity games. Pinball, I mean, whatever. It's not pinball, but
by the way, there's a question in chat if we've played Castle Combo. I've only played it on BGA.
yeah, I haven't played it yet, but I want to. Maybe I'll play it next week.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to play that one. It looks interesting. In person, I'd like to play it though. There's certain experience, especially again, I'm digging all these card games lately, so it's like it's going that way. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thanks for all these questions, from Castle Combo to everything else tonight. Well, we're having a great time. And next week, Mr. Rao's going to be here. We're going to have that video up shortly next day or so. And so, Mr. Rao,
triumphant return.
Yeah,
from his hiatus.
We're so glad that he's coming back.
He's awesome.
He really is. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in, being a part of this show. We're going to be off next week, but you will see us. We're going to have plenty of coverage of PAX Unplugged. So stay tuned to the channel. Probably a lot of shorts dropping of some of the games we're getting to check out. So
you keep those shorts on, sir.
No,
don't worry.
Not what I mean.
There's going to be shorts dropping left and right.
This ain't that kind of show.
All right. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Favorite game, Robo Rally, and Let's Summon Demons. Thank you, Rachel.
don't even know anymore.
Yeah,
Look,
great.
the next time you see all of us, we are going to be unpaxing PAX Unplugged. I know that might not be the title this year, but I'm still going to say it now because I still love that. We're going to do that. It's going to be so much fun. Get ready for essentially our super show in 2 weeks. Come back next week for Mr. Rao. Support his return to the streaming world. We cannot wait. And with that,
I mute you.
Pull him off the stage. His time's up.
out.